All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're looking at a brand new law from Karnataka, India, that honestly could be a total game changer for the gig economy, not just there, but everywhere. It's really the first big attempt to build a real social safety net for the millions of people who are, powering our super convenient on demand world. I mean, think about it. We've all done it, right? You tap your phone and boom, food appears. A car shows up. A package gets delivered. It's amazing. But there's always been this tension at the heart of it all. What about the person actually bringing you that stuff? Do they have sick pay if they get the flu? What happens if they get into an accident on the job? That's the exact problem this new law is trying to tackle head on. So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the core problem, the gig worker's dilemma. Then we'll dive right into Karnataka's groundbreaking solution, see how it actually builds that safety net, rewrites the rules of the game, and, crucially, holds the big platforms accountable. Okay, first up, let's set the stage and really understand the fundamental trade-off that's been at the center of the gig economy for years. For the longest time, the deal, the unspoken contract, was pretty simple. Workers got the flexibility to set their own hours, which is great, but in return, they gave up all the traditional protections that come with a normal job. We're talking no sick days, no health insurance, no retirement plan, nothing. They were basically on their own, taking on all the risk. And that is exactly the situation this new ordinance is designed to flip on its head. So, in response to this huge dilemma, the government in Karnataka decided to step in with a really bold new piece of legislation. Okay, the official name is a bit of a mouthful. The Karnataka Platform-Based Gig Workers Social Security and Welfare Ordinance. But what it does is actually pretty straightforward. Its whole purpose is to protect the rights of gig workers and finally create a real system for their social security. Now, where it gets really interesting is how this law defines the two main players in this whole ecosystem. First, let's talk about the gig worker. According to the law, it's pretty simple. If you get work through a digital platform for a specific payment, you're a gig worker. That covers pretty much everyone, from the driver who picks you up to the person delivering your groceries. And on the other side of the coin, you have the aggregator. Now that sounds a little technical, but it's really just the legal term for the platforms themselves. Yep, the apps on your phone. The law sees them as the middleman connecting you and me to the service providers. And it's about to put a whole new set of responsibilities on their shoulders. Okay, so we've got the law, but how does it actually build this safety net? How do we go from words on a page to real, tangible benefits that help people in their everyday lives? Well, it all rests on two main pillars. First, you have a welfare board. Think of this as the brains of the whole operation, the control center that manages everything. And second, you've got a welfare fund. This is the financial engine, the fuel tank that's going to pay for all the benefits. And what's really cool is who sits on this board. It's not just a bunch of government officials making decisions. They've made sure to include 4 representatives from the gig workers themselves and 4 from the platforms. Everybody gets a seat at the table, which is meant to keep the whole system balanced and fair. So, the million-dollar question, where does the money for this welfare fund come from? This is the absolute core of the whole thing. The law says that the platforms, the aggregators, have to pay a welfare fee of between 1 and 5% of the payout on every single transaction. And the flow of money is actually brilliantly simple. So every time you take a ride or order a meal, the app pays that small fee into one big central fund. The welfare board then manages that pot of money and uses it to pay for things like health insurance or accident coverage for all the workers who are registered in the system. It's a really smart way to turn millions of tiny transactions into a huge, strong safety net. But here's the thing, it's not just about money for a rainy day. This ordinance goes way deeper. It's fundamentally changing the day-to-day rules of how workers and these giant platforms interact. Just look at the difference here. It's like night and day. Before, a worker could just be kicked off an app, poof, gone, with no explanation. Now, the platform needs a valid reason. Before, mysterious algorithms decided your pay and you had no idea how. Now, you have a right to get information about them. This is a massive shift in the balance of power. So let's zoom in on what this actually feels like for a worker on a Tuesday afternoon. It means fair contracts. It means a 14-day heads up before you can be terminated. It means you're protected from being discriminated against by some computer code. And maybe one of the biggest ones, you get access to a real human being if you have a problem. No more getting stuck arguing with a chatbot when your pay is wrong. That's huge. Of course, all of these rights are great on paper, but a law is only as good as its enforcement, right? So what's to stop a platform from just ignoring the rules? Well, that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, accountability. The law sets up a super clear two-step process for any disputes. Step 1. A worker takes their complaint directly to the platform. But if the platform doesn't solve it in 14 days, then comes Step 2. The worker can take that same issue to the Independent Welfare Board, and whatever the board decides is final. It gives workers a real path to get things sorted out. And if the platforms don't play by these new rules, well, there are penalties. For a first offense, like say they fail to pay that welfare fee on time, they can be fined up to 5,000 rupees. But if they do it again, the penalty jumps a lot. It skyrockets to a fine of up to 100,000 rupees. That sends a pretty clear message, doesn't it? This law has some serious financial teeth, and it's designed to make sure these massive companies take their new responsibilities seriously. So when you take a step back, this is so much bigger than just a local law in India. What Karnataka has created is a potential blueprint. It's an answer to a question that cities and countries all over the globe are struggling with right now. How do you get the best of the digital economy without sacrificing the basic security of the people who make it run? Karnataka has put one very bold, very detailed answer on the table. And the big question now is, who's going to be next?